Hey guys, and welcome to the audio commentary of my song Better Now, which, it's not even just an audio commentary because we have visual to anyone who wants to watch me for the duration of this video. Thank you so much. But I won't take it personally if you just minimize your browser and just go about your life while I play on in the background, So I want to tell you all about the writing process, the recording process, all of the ins and outs and behind the scenes of the making of Better Now, which is my favourite song from the record. And we know this because every time I put a song on an album that is my favourite song, I do it in Gaelic. And surprise, I've done Better Now in Gaelic, which I accidentally just let slip at a gig the other day. It's just like, music video, doing this song in Gaelic, two things I was supposed to hold back on. That I just told everybody who went to my London show. Great. Love that for me. So let's dive right in to the making of Better Now. So I wrote Better Now in the summer of 2016 with David and Anu. I wrote it in a studio in London. I have no idea whose studio it was. I'm going to assume it was Anu's, but I'm not too sure. This was quite a long time ago for me. A lot has happened since then. I remember the weather being gorgeous though, and just having the most fun. Now, what was different was doing a 3-day write is quite a big undertaking, especially if you've never worked with them before. And I was just so glad when they agreed to do that. Because both of those guys are so busy, so busy. And for me, at that time, I really definitely felt like they were out of my league as writers. But writing with them was just so amazing because I felt like I learned so much from working with the two of them. And for me, that's sometimes why I love doing writing sessions with people, is that I can learn more about my craft from people that have been doing it for longer than I have. And the funny thing about David especially is the fact that he's got a TV talent show past like myself, so that is always funny to talk about. But basically I'd done 2 songs already. So on day 1 we wrote a song, day 2 we wrote a song, and they were both very high production, very upbeat, lots of layers, like an onion. And at the end of day 2, we just decided to start writing this piano ballad because we had time. We wrote the other song so quickly and just didn't really think about it. Sometimes you just don't do things that are that deep. You're just like, well, we're booked in for the whole day. It's like 2:00. Let's start another song. So we did. And me and David are both obsessed with Elton John. David much more so than I, only because he loves him to death, which, I mean, if you're going to pick a hero, it's a pretty safe bet. So we just wanted to pick those classic chords and, just go a little bit up our own butt for a little bit, which you might not be fully able to tell. We cut a whole section out of the song. We wrote this quite complex sounding pre-chorus. When I took it to the producer, he was just like, no. That's not going in the song. Like, what? Like, it's just, it serves no purpose. It's just up its own butt. And I was like, okay, Jonathan. But basically we wrote the song so quickly. It was another one of these playing the song on loop, and for me, going into my head, writing the lyrics, running it by the 2 guys, and then we fix things together, or I sing a melody and then one of the guys is like, oh, if you just go up there on that note instead of that note. And that is the beauty, of a co-write. And the beauty of a co-write as well is that you get the song finished, whereas my attention span, sometimes if I'm left to my own devices, because I've gotten my emotions out, I don't even finish the song because I'm like, oh, it served its purpose. I don't need to finish it, which is awful. And I'm aware and I'm working on it. But at least with those guys, at the end of the day, you want to get those songs recorded. And this was day 3. So basically, this was day 2. And then day 3, we went in and we tarted up all the other demos and we demoed this up. So I left the session with 3 songs, and I loved the other 2, and I still do, and I'm still kind of low-key sad I didn't put them on the album, but they just don't fit. But I really wanted to shoehorn them on. But anyway, I just had a blast. I just remember having a lot of fun with those guys and constantly just being in stitches, and it was just such a pleasure to work with them. So like most of the songs I write, I tend to have a baseline of lyrics already in my journals, and in those days I used to turn up and I had books upon books upon books of like lyric journal books. I would just unload them, and this is one of those days where I like whip out I hear the melody and I'm like, oh my God, I know I have a poem in there that is about that thing. And this was one of those where half of the lyrics were in the books and then the other half were in my phone notes somewhere. And I based it really off so now the song is about my rehab experience, because I couldn't have written, it was almost like I wrote this song preempting a breakdown in the future. Like I can't explain it, and this has happened to me before in my life where I've written a song that almost told me my future. And yeah, kind of a weird thing, but it's almost like the song knew before I did what it was supposed to be about, because I wrote it at the time because I had this frustration with I had got sober for a year, and though I had like 2.5 more years of sobriety after that, I definitely remember coming back from a meeting one day, and just an AA meeting, and lying on the floor, just on the carpet, just crying because I remembered everybody saying that like I was better, and I felt like because I wasn't drinking, people thought I was better, but like I was still in such a weird place. Like I didn't feel better. Like the symptom of my sadness being the alcoholism, that had stopped, but I still had all of the emotional baggage going on within myself. So this idea of I'm better now is ironic, because I wasn't better. So the truth won't come from empty lungs, but lies will come from everyone. So that was that idea of like everybody telling me I was better, and I wasn't. But you know, that is, I think, for most people, you know, if you have mental illness or anything like that, like people see you doing good and assume that you're better, and like that's from lack of understanding essentially. And like I can't judge people for that, because I love their optimism, I love the blissful ignorance, and I do try the hardest. The thing that I work the most at these days is being better, but you know, with people in my life, I try and explain to them like I'm not better, I'm a work in progress. I'm not as bad as I once was, but I'm not better. And I think that was the whole reason for the name of the EP. Nudge nudge, go check it out. Versions of better is the whole notion of better being a different thing for everybody. And yeah, I love the irony of the song, and it does make me giggle sometimes when I log on to the internet and people are like, oh, it's such a positive, uplifting song, I'm so glad you're better. And I don't even get mad. I'm just like, I love the optimism, basically. I think something that's gone a little bit unnoticed was a joke that I included in the song that just made me laugh. And that was the fact that I've gone glass bones, paper skin. And I love that. It sounds really deep. But it's a SpongeBob SquarePants quote. And like only a few people have noticed. I'll play the clip. Here's the clip.
Some guys have all the luck. I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms. At night, I lie awake in agony until my heart attacks put me to sleep. Oh, no! No!
Yeah, so to me, it's funny. And I've said it a million times and I'll say it again. I use humor as a coping mechanism. It helps me get over the things of my past. And I feel like including that in that song couldn't be more of a me thing to do, basically. I definitely remember playing the song in rehab. I hadn't gotten the memo that you weren't allowed to work really in rehab because I could access my emails in the evening, and I remember sitting at the computer putting some headphones on and listening to my work, and then one day I got caught and she's like, "What are you listening to?" And I was like, "My album." She's like, "That is not okay. You can't be working. This is a safe this is a safe place." And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm enjoying it. I'm my number one fan." But I remember listening to Better Now and crying because I felt like I'd predicted my future with this song, where everything I've got is gone. It felt so true. I'd given up all of my money to go and get better, and I even sang this song in rehab because it soothed me in a weird way, because I felt like my feelings were acknowledged in this song. And it was so weird because like it actually feels like now I'm doing a cover of a song somebody else wrote. And the way I do my covers is I always put my mind in my own life and my own story, and I tell my own truth through somebody else's song. It feels like that. Although, like, obviously when I wrote it in 2016, I didn't know I was going to go to rehab. But I knew even then that this whole notion of being better was a bit not real. But I hoped it was, and I feel like when I wrote it, it was the shattering of the illusion of better. Because I genuinely, I naively thought better was a real thing. And then that's the reason why I broke down on the carpet, was because better's not real. And I think that was the day that the glass shattered for me, where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to spend the rest of my life getting better. But the positive thing has been the amazing feedback I've had from people. And like, I'm not one to be like, I write songs that are relatable. Not with this album. Everything was about me. But the fact that people related to the songs on the record, and in particular this song, was so touching. Like, when I read the comments about this track in particular, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel validated. It makes my feelings I feel seen when other people hear this song and they know where I'm coming from. I feel like anyone who's been through it and they hear this song, they get the true meaning. They get the pacifying the notion of being better to other people, but knowing that they're not. And reading those comments of people saying how much it has helped them, even though that's a weird concept to my brain, but people saying things like that really just, it makes me feel good that we're basically trauma bonding at this point. But I feel so much less alone when other people relate to it, I suppose. Like, I've never been one to try and be relatable, but this is just one of those times where something just touches somebody, and it did so without trying. And that's what I love about this song. So for me, I always knew that there was going to be a song on this album. Like, I knew there was going to be a song with a horse music video. And like, Better Now is not, it's not exactly like that was my chair. It's not a song you'd go, oh, that's a single, because it's a piano ballad. But this has been the beautiful thing about this project, that I can just pick and do whatever I want. Like, if I feel passionate about it, then I can tell other people about why it should be a single. And this definitely felt like one of those times where it's like, I just love this song, my favorite song on the album. Like, let's murder the song. But I knew I wanted to do horses for this album, like a music video with horses in it. And the fact that it gotta be with my favorite song makes my heart so happy. Also, I wrote about it in the book that there was equine therapy at the rehab I went to, which I won't get into. There's a whole other video on that. You can click the description about my rehab experience. But equine therapy, don't understand it. However, horses are a big symbol for me. And I think that there is definitely like a freedom in the song Better Now. It's obviously not the freedom that some people think it's about, but there is a freedom to acceptance. And I feel like that's what that song gives. And for me, horses are a massive sign of freedom. They're a massive sign of just all things positive in my life. That's why like I have a dead horse tattoo, because my horses almost symbolize my youth, and all my horses are dead now. That's dark, but I cherish that part of my past. Like horses gave me so much freedom as a kid, and they're a nice symbol for me now, and I love that. For me, I couldn't have imagined a better music video for Better Now, and because I love that song so much, it just makes so much sense that the song that gets the horse video is my favourite song on the record. So production wise, there were not much to say here, really, is there? It's a piano vocal. It was I love a good piano vocal. I'm not gonna lie. It's something so simple, and for me, I wanted the rawness of the emotion and the lyrics to really come through. It's easy with a song like this to go like there is a version with strings which you can go listen to, but for the album version I just wanted that simplicity. I wanted the song to kind of speak for itself, but it would be so easy just to like add a cello, add a violin, all of these kinds of things, and add swirly cymbals and make it a bit more I don't know, a bit more dramatic. But I didn't want that for the album version. I just wanted it to be simple and really try and convey the feelings of the track. And funny enough, actually, if you listen close enough on verse 1, I think it's probably like the second line, you might be able to hear a drill. It might just be me who can hear it, but there was a drill going off because they were fixing the studio. Because I did the vocal in London. I did it in Rack Studios, which I love the history of Rack. I love it. But I did it in Rack Studios. I did it upstairs, and they were fixing one of the buildings, like one of the living spaces. You can definitely hear it. I don't care what anybody says. You can definitely hear the drill. But as for vocals, I do it a million times and just pray for the magic take. Like for me, this song was definitely more about performance. Like I didn't want perfection. You can tell by the end where I can barely breathe. But I didn't want perfection. I wanted feeling. And some of my favourite songs aren't perfect. There's like a beauty in some mistakes and things like that. We did the piano though in Dublin in Westland Studios, RIP to Westland Studios, which was just the most magnificent time of my life. If you haven't watched the Holy Water music video, go watch it. You'll get a bit more insight into what the recording process of the album was like from watching that. But basically, just Jonathan, who produced the album, sat down at their piano and played it through, and it just sounded glorious, like the heavens opened. And for me, like I've always loved this song. When I heard it with the pre-chorus cut, it just all made sense for me, and it definitely made me cry when I. Because a lot of the other songs, right, I'll be honest, like when you're making your production notes, because there's more instruments, you spend quite a lot of time dissecting things, and it becomes really silly at some point where you're like, so that noise there, can we turn that down like 2 decibels? And it gets very pernickety. Whereas with a song like this, it's just piano vocal, so it's it didn't need that much fixing, really. So when I got that back, it just, it just felt so nice just to listen to it. I'm not the biggest fan of my own voice. I love singing though. This is the difference. Like, I'm not a fan of my voice, but I enjoy singing so much. But with that one, I did cry. I think this one and Speak get me in the feelings. And I think it's because when I listen to when I listen to the vocal on that song, my head takes me to the studio that day, and just the feelings I had because I did this vocal after I'd come out of rehab, and I just really tried channeling that pain that I felt when I was in rehab. So I feel like it came across. Anyway, but that's just my opinion. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I would also appreciate it if you could go buy the EP, download the EP, stream the EP, also buy the album. That'd be great. Thank you so much. Watch the music video, buy some merch. Basically what I'm saying is I love my job and I would like to continue doing it for the rest of my life. So help me prove to my accountant that I can still do this job. Anyway, thank you so much for all the love and support. Thank you for every comment, every like, all of that stuff. It has really meant the world. And I'll be answering anything I've missed. Like, if there's something you want to know about this song, please let me know in the comment section below. And when I'm going through answering the comments, I'll answer your questions as well. So thank you so much. And I hope you're having a happy, happy day. All right. Bye.